Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webcast this evening. Thank you today for joining us to present. What I've got for you is learn everything you need to know to create webinar presentations that convert without being too salesy. Sorry, that took a bit of time, and it's an easy 7-step process. Today, we will learn a bunch of things, namely how to basically take your prospects who sign up for your webinars and show up to your webinars through an NLP structured process whereby it's easy and natural for them to buy. Also, there'll be some quick tips and tricks that keep your audience engaged for longer until the end, so you can obviously sell to them. There'll be hidden reveal within the webinar, showing you 5 essential ingredients you need to create winning webinar registration pages. And also I'll show you at the end how to gain access to a proven formula template that you can use time and time again for all of your webinars. So you don't have to think about the structure each and every time. So let's get started. Welcome. So I'd like to know if this webinar is for you, and obviously you'd like to know if this webinar is for you. You might be a small to medium-sized business, potentially with a shop front or an online presence already. You might also be a subject matter expert. Now, you might already be in a day job and you have certain expertise that you want to leverage webinars for. You might already be running some webinars ideally, and you'd like to optimize the webinars that you're running and increase the conversions you're getting through the webinar. You could also be an online or digital marketer, also a blogger or a content provider, so which basically means you've been running webinars for a while, you understand the basic structure, you're getting people through, but you're just not getting the conversions. And you are planning on harnessing the power of webinars, basically, and further optimizing your current webinar. So you're able to get people into your webinar funnel, into your presentation, but they're just not staying long enough. I'm going to show you a system that basically is formulaic in nature, and it's almost a natural progression through the webinar where people will be able to stay longer and you'll have them engaged for longer as well. You might be a little skeptical as well. I mean, you might have run webinars for a while and you're thinking, you know what, this webinar gig really isn't for me. But some of the stuff I'm about to show you will prove you wrong. And also, if you're struggling to connect with your audience, you might also be a beginner or a novice with webinars. You might be getting into them. You're not sure where to start with your presentation. You've got a few issues with it. You're not sure how to structure it. I'm going to show you a way to not have to think about it each and every single time you basically conduct a webinar presentation. Or you could be a level 99 webinar wizard. And if that's the case, great, give me a call. I might get some tips off you. But this will assist you as well. Trust me. If you are running webinars and you're thinking about them, you want to be able to create solid structured presentations that convert. And you're here because you don't want to have to rethink the format for each webinar topic each and every single time you present your product. And also have access to an easy fill-in-the-blanks template. Also, you'd like to educate your audience, because if I'm going to give something away right now, the main purpose of your webinar should always be to educate. Always, always, always. Never forget that. And that's basically why you don't have to sell. Not do the hard sell in your webinar is because you've educated them and you've taken them through a structured process. So there's lots to do already, and I understand that you have limited resources, money, and time. The bottom line is you want to dominate your niche. You want to present with unshakable confidence and fill your audience with confidence as well. You need to deliver high-value, quality content that's structured and effective and gets the message across, and obviously have your audience engaged for longer, until the end, preferably. And if you also want to increase the conversion rate from your webinars, basically so you can have more money, more time, You need to gain celebrity status in your niche. You want to have a positive impact on your prospects and your audience, and you want to contribute to their lives and enhance them. You want certainty in your business or your expertise, and ultimately you want freedom. Then this webinar is for you. Right. So today, in just 60 minutes, you're going to leave this webinar with the tools you can use immediately to be able to build a presentation that you can use until your business is up and running, hopefully for a long, long time. Also, you'll have the opportunity to grab my webinar template, plus headlines that sell. I'll be able to give you something where you can come up with webinar ideas and basically not even have to think about the webinar title. And there's a headline formula as well that you can use. And you'll get these as bonuses, definitely. Basically, so you can deliver webinar presentations that convert. And obviously the opportunity to work with me one-on-one. I love hearing from individuals and businesses that are trying to grow. And I'm looking to build a small community, so that would be awesome. Now, with your permission, just a little bit about me. That's my dad. I think that photo was taken back in the early 80s, and that's my little Matchbox cars right there. I think it was my birthday. A bit of background about me. I basically, after high school and all along, wanted to become a mechanical engineer like my dad and work with planes. I was all set on having a stable career with growth in engineering. And basically that's all I wanted to pursue. That's the fabric that we were taught. Grow up, get a good education, study hard, work hard, get a career, and then retire, and then live on your retirement, basically, which were all very, very good values, which are still being taught today, if that's your thing. If you're on this webinar, I'm kind of guessing that's probably not your thing, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this as well. I worked for major companies over a 15-year period. I worked for Delphi doing fuel tanks, Boeing doing 787 Dreamliner, Toyota, General Motors, Holden as well. If you're in Australia, you're familiar with Holden. The Australian government, and obviously Ford as well. So there's obviously quite an engineering bent there. So I was very passionate, still am, about engineering. Oh, there's Dad again. And basically in 2006, Dad passed away, and that was a major fork in the road for me. I had the choice to either continue with my career and try and grow that, but I just saw past it and I thought, no, there's got to be something better than this. If all we do is work out all our lives and then, I don't seem to sound depressed, but get back in the dirt, then there's got to be more. And basically after that, I remember a friend ages ago said, hey man, Tarek, you need to read this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I really didn't believe in self-development or any of that mama jumbo, really. And I said, nah, his name was Duncan. And I said, nah, I can't be bothered. But for some reason, I eventually walked into a bookshop after Dad passed, and I got the book and I read it, and I knew then what I wanted to do was basically become financially free. And that's when I started my journey. It was about in 2006. It's a while ago now. I started a number of businesses in real estate, fundraising, multi-level marketing. This is a funny one. It's always funny seeing people's faces when you mention network marketing or MLM. They just want to run and bolt instantly. And I got that reaction a lot. Imports as well from overseas, blogging, affiliate marketing, all these things online. And through the successes and failures, basically, I started advising businesses and experts on how to market online, whether that was through Google AdWords or paid advertising. Facebook, I think, was around at the time. I can't remember. And it was basically how people can grow their businesses. And I was always looking for tools to basically assist them. Now, times weren't always good. My passion was to help businesses grow, but there were really, really tough times in between. I used to live on Milo because I just didn't have enough money coming through the business. Used to scratch around in the bottom of the car to see if I could find some change. That sounds exaggerated, but it's actually quite true. and very, very low times. And then basically I was working in a job, but I wasn't very happy. And I was helping people achieve the goals they desired, but it was very, very time consuming, and I needed something, more automated, something that I could run remotely. Interestingly enough, a personal trainer friend of mine, I'm still working on that six-pack, Dan, he introduced me to The Laptop Millionaire by Mark Anastasi. And after that, basically, I discovered webinars, to be honest. And I taught myself webinars, taught myself as much as I could in terms of testing and proving different ways to do them, different presentation methods, different funnels. And it was just an awesome, awesome way to do it. And I basically dissected a lot of the famous internet marketing webinarians, if you could call them that, Steve Esser, Frank Kern, Amy Porterfield, all these people, and found what these people were running in their presentations to be able to convert. And so I wanted to share that with you. I want to share my success in my webinar conversions as well. So here's why you need webinars. If you're slightly cynical about them and you're not sure, you haven't had too many conversions, you're not convinced about the webinar model, here's a few things I want to show you before we get started, just really quickly. A recent survey by On24 basically suggests that webinars are becoming a more important role for companies and viewers. And year on year, basically, audience sizes are growing drastically. And I think if you were to ask yourself how many webinars, have you attended over the past 5 years, I think you'd say that they were sort of increasing. The viewing time is also increasing. Webinars are becoming more social and interactive as well. And basically, the on-demand viewing and value of webinars has increased as well on average. This is a chart. Don't be too put off by all the numbers. I will show you exactly where to look, which is there. 58%. This is the effectiveness rating of tactics among business to consumer users. Now, 58% of these people, that's a lot, think that webinars and webcasts are a very, very highly effective tool. I want to bring your attention to videos. 65%, third on the list after in-person events and e-newsletters. Guys, I'm not sure if this is obvious, blatantly obvious, but webinars are videos. You can basically record them, and they're basically interactive video almost, if it's not a live webinar like this one is. So that's something to think about. 65% if you're not convinced that webinars are for you. So 74% believe in-person events are the way to go. And obviously for small businesses whom I love to talk to, a lot of them have told me it's very expensive. They need to book calls and be there in person. They must be present. Yes, thank you. 73% say e-newsletters are the way to go. E-newsletters are great. I am not dissing any of these methods. But you basically, there is no interaction. And I'm just wondering if everyone can hear me correctly. Yep, I think so. All good. And so there's no interaction. And so we come to videos where 65% of marketers think it's very effective. Guess what? Webinars are video. I can't say any other way. And obviously then there's social media, other blogs and articles on your website. These are very highly common. I'm sure you get bombarded with email messages in your inbox every single day if you're in this business entrepreneurial space, and even if you're an expert trying to get off the ground, basically. It adds to the online clutter, and the message gets lost. Unless you're running really, sometimes complex systems to try and tag people, which you can do along their funnel journey, that's kind of hard. So what I want you to take away from this is that webinars are video and 65% of marketers think they're effective. Also, the articles require constant updates, and you cannot automate them for income. You can automatically post articles. You can do that, but using webinars are very, very effective. This is another lovely chart. This is for business to business. If you're a small business or maybe you're an expert that wants to sell to business, 61% of webinars, 61% of marketers think that webinars are the way to go. So yeah, that basically beats everyone else on the screen there. So I'll rest my case, basically. So that's all great. I hear you say that almost through the ether, but how do I increase conversions during my webinar? So you've got people through to your webinar, from marketing, whether it's Facebook or whether it's Google AdWords, Market Buys, banner ads, whatever it is. You've gotten through to your registration page, well done, and now they've come to your webinar, but you find that you're not selling as much as you are or you should be through your webinar. There are ways to track that, but that's for another webinar. How do I increase my conversions? What if I told you? Now, we all know Morpheus is never wrong. Hopefully, I'm a bit of a geek, so hopefully everyone got that reference. What if I told you, Morpheus says, that there's a formula for webinar presentations? You can basically use this every single time. It's a blue pill or the red pill. I can't remember which one he took. And basically, it's not only Morpheus, it's people like Frank Kern that use this formula as well. You can Google Frank Kern if you haven't heard of him and if you're not in this space. He is basically one of the biggest, I'd say, webinarians out there, marketing specialists, internet, online space marketing. And you basically almost can't get any better than Frank Kern. He's made millions upon millions of dollars. And I think he still holds the record for the most earned online in a day. So I think I don't know what the number is. It's a silly number. So Frank Kern uses this formula. Another one of my mentors, actually, his name is Stephen Esser. He also uses this formula. Slight variation of it, but still very highly, highly effective. And Steve also is obviously financially free and very, very successful internet marketer through webinars. He conducts webinars all over the place and seminars in person on how to do them. And he actually basically takes people live through the webinars and has them making money. So let's get started. You guys must be waiting for it. Okay. So if you've got your workbook, there's handouts also in the handout section here where you can basically download your workbook. If you go to the right-hand side of the screen, there should be a little chat box there, and you can get your handout from there. It's a free hustle workbook, and you can start taking some notes. So preparation. Now, this is not number one. This is probably step number 0. Preparation is key, guys. Abraham Lincoln said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." And this is exactly the same principle. Some key points to remember for preparation is what sort of webinar are you running? Is it a direct selling webinar? Are you selling a product directly at the end of your webinar? Is it a virtual training or a coaching class? Are you teaching them something and then selling something at the end? Are you doing a JV or a podcast? Are you doing an online conference? Maybe you've got, maybe you've got several panelists throughout the day. And I know that there are people who basically use webinars to run conferences, over a 24-hour period almost. So is that what you're running? Is it a product launch? Is it a proposal? Are you testing a product? Are you taking a product to market quickly? Maybe it's a software demo. Maybe it's a software demo that you're running, and maybe you're not selling something. Maybe you're just doing a demonstration and it's like a beta test almost. Another great way, actually, just on the side, is customer support. You might be running a help desk weekly webinar session where you're trying to maybe, sell a complimentary product at the end of the customer support. The first thing also with preparation also is what I was saying before, is you need to aim to educate first and always. Forget about everything else. You need meaty content that people can use straight away. When you educate, you won't need to sell. That is the bottom line. That is what I've learned of webinars that are highly effective and convert highly. You need to be able to prepare them and provide them with tools during the webinar. So they could be links to resources, they could be actual resources, check sheets, cheat sheets, any other sort of tool that your audience can use, hopefully not during, but straight after the webinar to basically do what they need to do to achieve a goal, which is why they're on your webinar. And obviously deliver exactly what you promised. Don't give them any fluff. Don't give them any stories. Just get straight to the point, which hopefully I'm doing as well. The best presentations are interactive. So ask them a live Q&A, run polls, questions, handouts, anything you can. And obviously they're a part of your presentation, guys. So, keep them involved, make them involved, because the attention span of people nowadays is so low that they're multitasking or checking the phone. Oh, wait, let me check. I've got a message. Hang on. Sorry, just joking there. But it's basically keep them involved during the presentation. Run live polls. Thank you. Some very smart man put this together. Ask them their fears, their roadblocks or desires. This will allow you to create new products or tailor existing products to suit them. As I was saying, a live Q&A session, they can ask you questions live, and basically you are instantly answering their questions or doubts that they may have. What does that lead to? That leads to more sales. I used to be in door-to-door fundraising. I was telling you before, the look you see on people's faces when you actually address a concern of theirs is priceless. It's almost like the pen magnetically transfers to their hand and they sign up for something. So, and that's what you want to happen. It's almost magnetic that they do it. And obviously, once you record your webinar, you can upload it directly to YouTube. That's just a side little trick there. You might be running live product demos. Some webinar platforms do allow you to do this with a split screen arrangement. So you need to know what sort of webinar you're running, and obviously give handouts during the webinar. Guys, always run a practice session. Sometimes when you become an expert, I almost don't run them anymore. But when I first started, I used to run a practice session, record it, and just see how I'm going, just to make sure everything is okay. If you're a beginner, it's probably best to run one or two with a friend, with a mate. If you're not, then it's up to you. That's up to you. But always, if you can, run a practice session. Okay, here we go. We get into the guts of this now. Like I said, no fluff. Now, to make presentations in your webinar that convert, here is the formula. Okay, we're going to get straight to it. Step one is the confirmation. So I'm going to give you all the steps first and the duration, and then we're going to dive deep into each one. Step one, confirmation. Step two is the opportunity. Step three is the story and creating the bond. These three steps should be about 5 to 10 minutes. Now remember, the average attendee will probably stay for about 54 minutes in your webinar. So you need to be able to time it for about 60 minutes. People do 90-minute webinars, depends on what they're selling at the end. But just as a rule of thumb, you can adjust these as you go for either a 60-minute or a 90-minute webinar. Results now. I will show you what that means. I said that very macabrely. 45 minutes, guys. This needs to be the meat of your webinar presentation. 45 minutes of good, solid information that people can use straight away. After that, we're looking at a transition, step number 5. Step number 6 is the offer. And step number 7 is the call to action. Now, if you do step number 4 correctly, I'm jumping ahead here slightly, steps 5, 6, and 7 will be magnetic for your audience. Step 5, 6, and 7, 10 minutes approximately. You do need to spend this time in the process to be able to bring people through your presentation. Step number 1 is the confirmation. Okay, so you can use these and pull this information into your Hustle workbook. Okay, so confirmation contains 2 parts. The introduction, obviously, and the audience identification. During the introduction, obviously you state the title of the webinar, you state what you're going to cover. Basically, you would have created a registration page and told people about what you're going to cover during the webinar or even during your email sequence. And the landing page that had the benefits, as I stated, even on this presentation, state those, reiterate those to your audience, and say it in a way where, you know, it's the benefit stated with these 3 magic words, so you can achieve X, because your audience are there to achieve something, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't invest the time and maybe money to be there. So state the benefits so you can achieve X in that order. Now, the second part of confirmation is the audience identification. Who is this webinar for? What is their current situation? They might be a, you know, online digital marketer. They might be a blogger, you know, a market expert. You know, are they down in the dumps? Are they losing conversions? You know, whatever their reason is, you need to sort of hit that skepticism and address it. And that skepticism very well might be their current situation. Why are they on the webinar? What do they want to learn? Again, always acknowledge their skepticisms as you go. If you've done your initial research right and you've spoken to a few people about it, which you should always be doing, one of the things you should always be asking them is you know, what's the biggest problem or fear with something that they're trying to achieve? And your script should have, what if there was a system? So, for example, if you're going through, let's say we're talking about webinar presentations, and I say, you know, you're running low on conversions and you're losing people during your webinar presentation, which means you cannot convert and sell, which is a bit of an emotional trigger point. You say, you know, and you say, well, what if there was a system whereby you could use every single time it was a template and you didn't need to think about it, so you can make more sales at the end of your webinar presentation. So use the what if there was a system consistently with each skepticism that you address. Okay, quick tip time. That was quick. Your audience basically need to find themselves in this situation or in this section of the confirmation, or I'm sure you can answer this, they will bounce. So they need to be able to find themselves. Otherwise, if they can't identify themselves with what you're saying, they'll just leave. Trust me, I've been there. Future pacing is always very important. It's almost like, you know, at the end of a series, of a TV series, they'll say, coming up next, or next episode, or a trailer for a big movie. I recently, actually just today, they released the movie trailer for Star Wars, Force Awakens, and it's basically just, you know, I think they've sold out all the tickets, and they've given people a bit of a taste of what's coming up. So similarly, use that in your email sequence and also in your webinar presentation. Tell the audience how they will be learning, or they will be learning how to overcome X. You know, it could be a skepticism, it could be a goal, whatever they're trying to achieve. Also, during the future pacing, tell them that they'll have the chance to receive tools to overcome their issues. If they've got issues with creating Facebook ads, say you will receive Facebook ad templates so you can overcome the pain of creating Facebook ads every single time you create a campaign. It will save you, so you can save time and money, basically. So, you know, there's some magic words again, so you can. So they can basically achieve their end goal. So receive tools to overcome a skepticism, which is X, so they can achieve their end goal. This is also a formula within this formula. Hot tip. I love these badges. Okay, just a side note, the 3 most powerful words on the internet probably ever will be so you can. You always state skepticism or something that they want to achieve, or a tool, so you can achieve, you know, their end desire or their goal. It always gives them the benefit. Give them the benefit so they can achieve X. Okay, step 2 is the opportunity. In this section, I want you to be able to state statistics of something relevant to why people are in your industry. For example, for a client, I'm putting together a webinar on basically self-hypnosis for how to quit smoking. So a lot of the education comes within the opportunity is, if you don't do this, what will you be missing out on? So, for example, in the case of my hypnotherapy friend, it could be, 68% of people have been able to quit smoking through self-hypnosis, and they're able to control it on an ongoing basis. So the purpose of statistics and also testimonials is to educate people on the opportunity that they will potentially miss out on. That's very important. It's not the opportunity necessarily that they're getting, it's the opportunity that they might miss out on, because people act more so on something that they might miss out on. It could be, for example, early access to something, or only 3 tickets remaining. It's not the fact that there's 3 tickets remaining, it's the fact that they might miss out on something. So the opportunity section should handle statistics and also testimonials. So statistics, use it to show what they're missing out on. Is it a growing trend? For example, with webcasting and webinars, Google forecasts that it's a growth area. So I would state that during my webinars, where I'm trying to get people to sign up for my coaching classes. Also, is it a declining trend? Is there something that you're doing that will help reduce something, perhaps? Or is your trend declining? That's something you need to address as well. If it's declining, maybe you need to rehash or reframe what you're doing. And also weave their skepticisms into your script. I don't use scripts, but obviously the script is in your presentation. But weave it every single time. So weave the script, the skepticisms into your statistics as well, and vice versa, as I just said. So testimonials is the second part of it. Show what other people have achieved. People love seeing, hopefully, people love seeing what other people have achieved, and how I achieved X. People always love seeing that sort of stuff. And it shows them the opportunity that they're potentially missing out on if they don't continue to be on the webinar and don't buy at the end. Again, weave the skepticisms into your script. And answer the skepticism using people's testimonials. So again, it could be someone who has saved 80% on their tax bill. Have a video or a statement from them saying, hey, I saved this. I thought it was just a gimmick, but I genuinely saved 80% on my tax bill. So that's the way you can do that. Also, who are the key influencers in your industry? So for example, in my industry, there's Frank Kern, Lewis Howes, Amy Porterfield, all these people who are key influencers. Some of the people that come to mind, if you're in the aviation space, I love aviation, so Richard Branson is a major one. So use those people as well, and quotes that they've used in your presentation. Step number 3, your story, and basically creating the bond. Audience want to know who you are. If they're just going to come onto a website and they don't know who you are, they're not going to, people bounce off websites within seconds. Webinars are great that they keep people engaged for almost an hour, but they need to know who you are. Who were you before this webinar? What are you now? What have you achieved? And basically, what led you to creating this webinar? For me personally, I was really down at the depths, scratching for coins and change to be able to buy food, until I found webinars, and I tried them, I tested them, I did all sorts of things. I failed at some, I succeeded at some, and then I started succeeding some more with this formula. And I basically wanted to show people how to do it, because I know webinars are everywhere now and people want to do them. So that's my personal story to creating it, and make it personal for them. I mean, you need to sort of let some of your insides out. It sounds kind of gross, but just need to let people why you're there and who you are. Let them connect with you. Wow, another quick tip. I want to put this together. Your audience need to identify with your story, basically. and they will know straight away if your story is false or it's a gimmick or you're basically lying to them. They'll be able to tell. They're very, very smart nowadays because these things and scams are everywhere. So you need to be very genuine. And if you're not really, I don't even want you on this webinar, because it's just not right. It's not ethical. If they don't identify with your story, they'll bounce yet again. Okay, that transition means that we are at step 4, the results now. This part, guys, is the meaty part of the presentation, basically. So the results now section, what is it? This is very important. I need you guys to focus on this because, so if you're looking at your phone, whatever, sorry, I don't mean to tell you off, but give them the knowledge they need to achieve results now. That means that you need to give them the knowledge they can take straight away, hopefully not during, but hopefully after the webinar, and apply with the tools that you've given them to be able to apply the knowledge they've just learned so they can see an immediate return. Results now means not results tomorrow, not next week, now, basically. During, well, hopefully not during, or straight after the webinar. You want them to concentrate on your webinar, obviously. Okay, so what do you do during the results now? You need to tell them what they need to do to achieve whatever your webinar title was. So whatever you need to do, so again, I'll go back to the tax. I think that's quite a famous example that we did. How to reduce 80% on your tax bill the next time you fill in your tax return. You would tell them the steps that they need to take to be able to do that. Make it a 3, 5, or 7-step process. I'm not sure if you know this. If you've been in the internet space for a while, you'll know that basically people seem to respond more to a 3, 5, or 7-step process. I don't know what it is, but it's statistically proven. Okay, so here's an example. And this is, by the way, the hidden reveal, a webinar within a webinar. I love doing this stuff. It's just basically educating you more about how to achieve better results with webinars. Learn the 5 essential ingredients you need to increase webinar registrations without increasing your marketing spend. That's quite a title there. So we're going to use this as an example. This is a webinar that I'm currently doing. So here are the steps that I'm telling you in advance. So this is an example of what you would sort of use during your results now stage. So you tell them what they need to do. So for example, to increase the webinar registrations without increasing marketing spend, what you have to do is first on your webinar registration page, you need to do emotional triggers and show people what the problem is or why they might be there, address a specific problem or skepticism. It might be a unique problem. Hopefully it is, and then it's more targeted and your niche is set. So the next step that you need to do on your webinar registration page is a promise. So, I will teach you how to increase your webinar registrations by XYZ. And it should be a unique promise that you can actually come through on. The other thing you need to put on your webinar registration page is social proof or testimonials. And then you go to your proposal. You basically tell them what you're proposing. It could be an offer, it could be sign up to a registration, or take a free download to learn something, which is basically associated with a call to action. So you click on the call to action and you also receive a free gift. So this is just an example of what to do. So I'm telling people what they need to do to increase webinar registrations on their landing page, how to structure their landing page in this instance. I hope you're writing these down because these are something that you can use as well. So this is what you need to tell them. You need to give them the education and the tools that they can use. So it's a good 40 minutes of education, basically. It establishes you as an expert that gives. There are a lot of webinars in the online space at the moment, and People are just starting not to go to webinars because they know all that's going to happen is they're going to be sold to, and they don't want to do that. They won't come away learning anything. So if you want to establish yourself as an expert or a celebrity, something that rockets your credibility, and that someone that is known for giving information that is valuable and value add, it also shows that you want to help and you're not just after sales, because you it's almost like you should never be selling, because you need to be educating first and foremost. I mean, think about all the emails that you received with heaps of information about how to achieve a certain goal that you're trying to achieve. You are more inclined to contact that person again. There are obviously people who take the information and run, which is absolutely no problem. But in my experience, the vast majority of people will basically you'll have instant recall in their brains, because they'll say, hey, Tarek taught me that, or he gave me that much information. I want to contact him for more. So this is obviously something that you want to be known for. And like I was saying, how do you react when you get knowledge from people as well? How do you react when you can use something straight away? I love that sort of stuff, and I go back to those people all the time. Okay, step number 5 is the transition, which is very, very important. And it's very, very simple. So up to this time, you've given them the introduction, you've given them the offer. So they've been to your webinar probably for about maybe 45 to 50 minutes. So the remainder of your 10 minutes or more, perhaps, just a rule of thumb, if you're running a 60-minute webinar, your transition contains 2 simple steps, okay? It's your recap, and it's the and if pattern. Okay, I'm just going to deep dive a little bit into these. Your recap, again, all you basically do is you recap the 3, 5, or 7 steps that you have gone through during your results now phase. And you remind them what you just taught them, basically. You can also do it with, I taught you this was the benefit, so you can achieve X. The and if pattern, which is the second part of the transition, is actually very, very simple, and it could be just almost a single slide on your webinar. And you follow up the recap with, so you've got the summary, and if you're serious about achieving X, here's how I can help you. And that's it, basically. So keep it very simple. Don't go into lengthy transitions, because, people are pre-programmed to understand that, look, you're running this webinar, you're going to sell something at the end of it. That's a given, And almost people feel cheated if you don't sell them something at the end of the webinar. So it's very, very important. So you say, insert summary, and if you're serious about achieving X, it could be increasing webinar registrations, here's how I can help you. Very simple. You can almost talk yourself out of a sale. I've done that. When someone says, where do I sign? You just shut up and give them the pen. Okay, so that was one of my mentors' teachings for me when I was fundraising. Very important. Step 6 after a single slide transition perhaps is the offer. The offer should have the following steps. Obviously, the offer, what you're offering. It could be a template, it could be a coaching program, it could be anything. And also why they should buy from you. Why do you stand out from the other ones? And also restate the offer again once you've told them your unique position for buying from you, plus a mega bonus. Guys, people love this. I love this stuff. It's like, I constantly rack my brain for what free stuff I can give away, and you should be doing the same as well. And also the last bit should be scarcity or urgency. Again, it's the factor that people hate missing out on something. So it could be time sensitive offer that you're offering. So the offer should have exactly what is on offer, and it should also state the benefit so you can achieve X. Again, you need to include that in every single thing that you're doing or offering to them. What bonuses are you giving? What support are you offering? Are you, it's almost, you need to go above and beyond the call of duty to be able to, to sell. And you need to. There is so much online clutter at the moment where even if you're just in a niche, you need to be able to provide value to your audience, and that's where they will go. You need to be able to stick out in people's heads. So support could be a Skype call, it could be a telephone call, it could be email support, anything you feel that you can do realistically for your audience. Also state the value of each item versus what your pricing is. Sorry, that was my phone. Always turn your phones off, folks, when you're doing webinars. State the value of each item. So for example, if you are, you have a template, it might be worth $10,000, but you're actually selling it for, I don't know, $1,000. So always state the value of the item and then how much you're selling it for. And always be addressing skepticisms and opportunity. So skepticism and what they might miss out on. So if you try and couple those two together, you'll always be winning. Step B, which is why they should buy from you. This is quite important. You need to do your research about why your offer is unique. You might have competitors offering something, and you'd be interested to know that maybe your competitors are priced way overpriced, with half the support. I was quite happy to find that when I run my webinar coaching classes, there's people there that offer webinars for like $6,000 or $7,000 without even seeing the result. So it's quite good because you need to let people know and make them aware how much your competitors are charging as well compared to what you're charging. And then again, restate the offer once you've done your competitor comparison. Restate your offer and plus a mega bonus. Your mega bonus might be, the opportunity to work one-on-one with you, or be interviewed, or have a face-to-face, or a special invite, or something that's mega, basically, that you can offer to a very limited number of people. Excuse me. And also, so scarcity and urgency. You need to ensure your offer is time sensitive. Again, I hate to reiterate this, guys, but it's also people, that's how people react. If your offer is open for the next 3 weeks, people will sort of say, okay, I can do this tomorrow, I can do this the day after. It's not their fault. It's just natural. It's just nature, basically. So offer something that is time sensitive, something that might be on for 15 minutes is usually quite regarded. That's what I do. And genuinely take the offer off the table after 15 minutes. Because if they've registered for your webinar and they're on your list, and you're sending them webinars time and time again, or webinars to attend that you're selling something at the end of, they will know that this guy's genuine. But if you just say 15 minutes and you leave the offer there for days, people will pick up on this stuff, guys. They know, and they're very, very smart and savvy people nowadays online. The scarcity factor could also be that you're limiting your purchases to only a number of prospects. So it might be, only 10 copies available, or only 10 places left, or something like that. And again, please try to be genuine about it. I don't like people who lie on their webinars, and I'm sure there's lots of them out there. I've had my fair share of a few as well. So please, be very, very genuine and stop the offer when you said you would. In fact, people would think, oh, can I, maybe if I run it for another hour or so, I might get a few more sales. No, it doesn't work like that. If people know that you're going to take the offer off the table, they will buy. Okay, now we're at the last step, guys, so hang in there. We're not too far into this thing. We're only 15 minutes in, so we're on time. Dead on time, actually. I'm pleased with myself. Okay, step number 7 is the call to action. You guys need to have a really strong call to action at the end of your webinar or your webcast, and it obviously depends on what sort of webinar you're trying to run. Strong call to action statement. It could be buy now, or click here now, or go to X website, or go to a link. And you need to tell people to do that, because people don't know what to do at the end of your webinar. Like, what do I do to buy this thing if I really want to buy it? Provide the link they need to click on. In some webinar platforms, you can place the button on the webinar, and people basically click on the button to be able to go to a site or a link. In GoToWebinar, which is what I use, basically you need to state the link at the bottom. And that's how you take them to where they need to go. Guys, make sure the link works. The only reason I say this is because I've sent people to links that don't work. Highly embarrassing, and highly non-profitable. So make sure the link works. Very simple. Type it in and just check it's working. It takes 10 seconds. Remind them it's limited offer at the end. Okay. All right. What's coming up next? Okay, so I've answered, guys, this is my recap. If you've been listening, you know exactly where we are in the presentation. So I've answered why you need webinars. If you're slightly skeptical about webinars, you're not getting such high conversion as your webinars, guys, you need to hang in there. I did probably 3 or 4 webinar presentations before I started to get profitable and before I started to see the formula that was working for me. Obviously, a very high percentage of marketers feel that webinars are very effective. I've also given you, if you've noticed, how to increase webinar registrations without increasing your marketing spend. So I hope you noticed that little, that little insider give that I had. And I've also said, how do I increase conversions during my webinar presentation? I've showed you that you need to have these 7 steps, which is the confirmation, the opportunity, the story, which creates the bond between you and your audience, which should be about altogether 5 to 10 minutes. I also showed you what you need to do with your results now section, how you need to be able to provide people with the tools and the education they can use straight away to achieve a result now. That should be about 45 minutes that I mentioned to you before. I also showed you what you need to do with the transition, which is step number 5, what you need to say during your offer, and what you need to state for your call to action. So all these steps basically that I've just shown you will take you through to a very highly converting, profitable webinar presentation. And that basically, the last 3 steps should be 10 minutes, as I stated to you before. Now, some really cool icons there. So when you leave this webinar, I really hope that you've got something that you can use straight away, stuff that you can use now. A lot of the times, if you haven't done webinars, it can seem a little overwhelming, and you sort of kind of need tools to be able to pull stuff off. So what can you do about it if it feels slightly overwhelming and, you've got your notes, but you want something more, you want something to really dig your teeth into that you can use each time? I want your permission, well, I'm going to go do it anyway, to show you the fast and easy way to make this happen for you every single time. What I'd like to offer you is the ultimate webinar presentation blueprint template. I couldn't come up with enough expletives to fit into one title. So this is what I can come up with, is the ultimate webinar presentation template. It's a blueprint that you can use every single time. And it's basically a step-by-step instruction on how to implement the strategy that I've told you right now. The great thing with the template is that each time you'll be able to create highly converting presentations. You can create them sooner, so you can basically increase your profit and achieve the wealth goals that you've been trying to achieve. Another very important thing is you can basically give it to someone, perhaps if you're outsourced, if you're going to get a freelancer to do it, give them the content which you might have typed out or spoken, and basically give them the template and say, hey, I want you to insert my content into this template. So if you're outsourcing, it also helps, because if you give it to freelancers and they don't know how to do it, this is a perfect way to do it. Now, a lot of the reasons people don't take action, the biggest one is because they're overwhelmed with the amount they have to do. If you're running webinars, you've got to set up the landing pages, you've got to set up the system, the integrations, all that sort of thing, and they're overwhelmed by it, obviously, not to mention the presentation in itself. My ultimate template has been designed to minimize overwhelm, okay? It takes you through each step individually, and it maximizes the focus and ease of action. You guys are, your core competency, if I said that right, your core expertise is your business. So it might be tax, hypnotherapy, online marketing, and if it's not webinars, you need to be able to focus and basically have ease of action when you're doing your presentation. As I said, it breaks down each step into easy, bite-sized actions, and the blueprint template ensures that your webinars stay organized and structured, for each and every webinar or product type that you run, basically so you can forget about what to do on each presentation and focus on your passion and vision. Almost anyone can run a webinar, guys. Anyone can put a presentation together, anyone can put a system together, but you need a system blueprint to make it profitable. So the ultimate webinar presentation blueprint template, that's me up the top there hopefully, and you climbing up the mountain. It deep dives into the exact structure, which is the confirmation, the opportunity, your story, and create the bond with your audience. Tells you what you need to do for your results now, where to put it, the transition, the offer, the call to action, and it includes additional proven NLP text for better transition as well. It basically takes your audience through a structured process with some add-in slides as well, where you can tell people they're basically NLP triggers that makes people go through your presentation more naturally. Now, the total value of this is $297. That's how much it's taken for me to put together. And I want to offer you support as well. Because we offer a number of different things, I'm really passionate about seeing businesses through webinars, basically gaining a profit. So I want to offer you a 45-minute Skype session, which is one-on-one. I'll guide you through your webinar presentation, basically so you can make money on your presentation the first few times that you run it, and hopefully for a long, long time. This is valued at about $479. I'm about to increase that price because it's just the amount of clients we've got at the moment is a bit ridiculous. So here's what you get. It's very, very simple. You get one template worth $297, and you also get Skype support, and that's one 45-minute Skype session valued at $479, and all up that value is about $776. So I just want to remind you again, if you're slightly skeptical of why you need to run webinars, some of these figures are quite staggering. If you look there, that over 154,000 online meetings. How many of those have you run? How many of those of yours were profitable? And there are about almost 9 million minutes of webinars. So that's a lot of presentation, guys. I don't know how else to emphasize that webinars are a growing part of the online space, and that if you don't get into webinars, your competition will. I guarantee you that. All you need to do is assess whether you're dominating your niche at the moment or not. If you're not, have a look at who is, and I bet you they're using webinars. So, and there are over a million people participating in webinars, and this is only of one platform, guys. This is ClickMeeting. There's GoToWebinar, there's On24, there's Webinar Jam, Easy Webinar. So this is just one online platform. So staggering figures. Again, 61% of marketers online think that webinars are the bee's knees of marketing at the moment. And obviously it's all about conversions. Would you rather spend $100 sending traffic to a website that converts 1 in 100, or a webinar that converts 1 in 10? It's statistically proven, I can't say that word, that webinars convert 1 in 10 times more than a single website. Question mark. Also, webinars are playing an increasingly important role in companies and for viewers. They are growing year on year. Viewing time is increasing, guys, so that's more important than anything, and that you need to have your webinar done, structured, and profitable. And also, they're becoming more social and interactive, as we all know, and the on-demand viewing as well. So the fact that you run a live one is great. If you're doing an on-demand one, which is recorded, if your webinar format is not working, the recorded format won't work either. Your competition are using this formula right now. I know my competition are. So if you're not dominating your niche, you need to ask yourself why. Plus, if you've already made your mind up, I want to give you these as well, awesome bonuses, okay? I was talking about these before. These are the actual tools I use to build profitable webinars myself. So, bonus number 1, preparing for profit template, okay? I love giving templates away. They're tools that people can use straight away. Preparing for profit questionnaire template. It basically allows you to understand your customers' fears, goals, and desires, helps you ask the right questions. And it shows you the gaps between what you're offering and what your customers might need, which is very, very important. You might have a great product, but if your customers don't need it, then you're not going to really sell many of them. You can also use the questionnaire, it's a self-assessment questionnaire, to grow all other aspects of your business. So not just webinars, you might have other online activities that you can use it to grow, or if you have a traditional shopfront. What you do is you just put the answers into your webinar presentation. They form part of your webinar. So all of this helps you to profit. And you basically free up time and money. You don't need to think about it. It's a mechanical process that you go through every single time. And again, it's something that you can give to your freelancer to be able to insert into your webinar. This is also valued at $297. I'll also give you a Headlines That Sell, which is Killer Marketing Hooks and Webinar Ideas ebook that I basically produced. You can use this for your ads and other communications. All you need to do, guys, is just insert your business or service or what you're offering into the headline template to create a tailored one. And that's it. So, because I remember early on when I first started, I just had to come up with webinar headlines, and I didn't know what to do. I had to educate myself on ad copy, and I thought, geez, I wish there was ad templates that I could use. And slowly and surely, people started coming up with those, and this is my version. So you can save on copywriting costs. I remember paying hundreds of dollars per hour to my ad copy guy. He's still there. He does a lot of work for a lot of major internet marketers. Yeah, so you'll save, sometimes paying thousands to be able to do ad copy for me. So you can save on copywriting costs, and obviously it saves you time. You just pick from one of the 97 marketing hooks and you're done. This is valued at $137, guys, okay? So here is what you get all up. Wow, that's a pretty cool transition right there. You'll get one template valued at $297. You'll get a 45-minute Skype session with me, not with one of my team. You'll get it with me one-on-one. That's valued at $776. Plus, I want to give you my questionnaire template, valued at $297. That's your first bonus. And also Headlines That Sell, which is bonus number 2, which is $137. The total value of basically what I'm offering today is $1,210. Now, are you able to make webinar presentations any other way? There are too many to mention. I could have come up with about 10 slides, but none of those options, if you go to webinarsmadeforyou.com, that's one of them. They charge $6,000 basically for putting templates together, email templates, all that sort of thing. But again, all of that stuff overwhelms you. You need to address something specifically. None of those guys offer a free 45-minute Skype session after downloading a proven template. And that's what I'd like to offer you today. So I don't believe there is a comparison. If there is, let me know and I'll beat it. One of the reasons I'm offering this today is I want your success story. There are a number of people I'm helping at the moment in Australia, in the UK, in the US, growing their businesses, and I love hearing their successes. And I'm also looking for people to partner and collaborate with. You might have services that you can offer that I can offer my clients as well. And I want to create basically a community of businesses online that share their insights and pay it forward. I love doing that sort of stuff. And probably after today, I'm going to double the price of this package purely because the number of clients we're getting is just getting a bit crazy at the moment, and I don't like fluff. I need you to put skin in the game, and that way I know you're driven and you're passionate about your success, because so am I. And I don't mean to be harsh, but we really need to deal and work with people that are passionate about success. So what you need to do is go to www.mywebinarmasteryblueprint.net. Yes, I came up with that name myself. It's only for the next 15 minutes, guys, okay? So it's going to be taken off after 15 minutes. And today, $1,210 worth of value I'm going to offer for $97. It's only today, and it's only for the next 15 minutes. All you need to do, very, very simple, is type in www.mywebinarmasteryblueprint.net. I'm going to give you my formula, the one I use to work with personally. And also, there's a 30-day risk-free trial. So if you use the webinar template, you don't like it after 30-day risk, I'll give you your money back, and you can keep the webinar template. That's how confident I am that you'll love it, including the headlines that sell and the 45-minute Skype session that we will do. If you still want to have your money back, I will still offer you the 45-minute Skype session, basically because I'm going to love talking to you. So 30-day risk-free trial, and you're probably thinking, hey, I want to work with you one-on-one, Tariq, because you're such a great guy. I'm just joking, I'm not that good. But anyway, and so valued at $2,000, I want to offer you my first and last mega bonus. There's no echo sound effect on this thing, but it's only for those who receive the Ultimate Webinars Presentation Blueprint template. Guys, I think that's a long enough name for a template. I will work with you personally with you to complete your webinar presentation. So that might take a month, it might take a year, and you can apply those principles to each and every one of your presentations. I'll work with you one-on-one, not just during the 45-minute Skype session, but ongoing until your presentation is complete. Now, because I'm very serious about my time and about yours, this is by application only, so keep an eye out for my email, and there'll be an application process that you guys will need to go through. That tells me if you're serious about your success or not. And if you're selected, we will build your profitable webinar presentation one-on-one. Promise. So go to www.mywebinarmasteryblueprint.net. It's only for the next 15 minutes, guys, and it's only $97, and it's only today. So, and that's $1,210 worth of value for only $97. We waste that away during our weeks without any return on investment. So it's only $97 for the next 15 minutes, guys. I wanted to thank you for coming and investing the time with me and not speaking to me, but hearing me out. I hope that there's tools there that you can take away and present. Don't forget to get your free PDF handout. That should be on the chat box menu there at the bottom. And thank you again. And for the next 15 minutes, guys, only $97. Today only. Go to mywebinarmasteryblueprint.net. I'm going to have a glass of water. Thank you, guys. Thank you, folks. Thank you, and good night.